Welcome to Party Zone Revisited. The who's who in dance music, then and now.
With me, James Hyman.
And with me, Simone Angel. James Hyman, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm always excited talking with you and carrying on this amazing torch of the Party Zone history and legacy for future generations and revisiting people we've obviously interviewed very early on in their careers. Now, today, I have to say, what I find remarkable is when you go back and look into what this guy's achieved, we know he's great. We know he's pretty much the most incredible best DJ in the world. I mean, he got a Guinness World Record for being, in 1999, the most successful DJ in the world. That's a very hard record to beat. I don't know how someone can say, no, I'm better than you. He, at that time, I think he had played something ridiculous, like 50 million people. He'd sold 5 million records. Look, of course, I'm talking about Paul Oakenfold. Now, what is remarkable is you forget the incredible extent of this guy's reach as a DJ, producer, remix, of what he's achieved in his career. And I have to say, I don't think I remember this too well. And it's even more remarkable because he's got this new autobiography coming out. He was and still is, I'm sure to some extent, dyslexic. He doesn't hide that. So it's quite unbelievable what this guy's achieved. He says, through his creative process. I mean, just a few of the things. Remember, this guy was U2's DJ. He really married rock music and dance music. The Happy Mondays, remember, or Manchester. He's kind of like a Zelig. He was always there at really pivotal moments in club and dance culture. Ibiza, the narrative of Ibiza always harks back to him. As I said, Manchester, indie dance, and rock and dance. Look at the places where that guy's DJ'd. Stonehenge, Mount Everest, Vegas, the Hollywood Bowl, places that no one's ever DJ'd, the first DJ to DJ at these places. I was thinking, actually, what about him DJing? You got to ask him if he DJs or was planning to go into space, because I think I read this week the Chainsmokers were being approached about orbiting space. So what about 20,000 feet under the water? It's like nothing he hasn't done. Ooh. He was a chef, remember, as well. Pretty good football player. 2 autobiographies. This guy signed Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, so basically Will Smith, Salt and Pepper, the Super Clubs, Home. Do you remember Home in Leicester Square, which this week, as I talk to you, has become a Greg's Bakery? So that's kind of it. All the TV work he did, the Big Brother theme on TV. I mean, that was him. A lot of soundtrack work. I just saw Elvis this week, the Baz Luhrmann film, which was absolutely incredible. A remix of Elvis by Oakenfold. It's amazing, right? You've seen it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so look, there we go. I mean, I can go on and on and on. This guy, for 40 years, the longevity. It's not like he's kind of been away for 5 years, come back 10 years later, like a Stone Roses. This guy has consistently produced and impacted pop culture with dance, electronic, whatever you want to call it, music. And I think it's fascinating, the benchmark. So, I've said what I've had to say. I mean, I would like to think you wholeheartedly agree with me. He's remarkable.
Well, that's why I'm excited. I'm really excited to talk to him again. It's been so long since I've spoken to Paul Oakenfold.
Yes, and you remind me. You reminded me. You reminded me not to undermine any of what I've just said. But weirdly, when I think back to the Party Zone or dance we did with him, I mean, I think we interviewed him several times, but one of the ones I remember was when he was on one of his very first Perfecto tours. It must have been early 90s. I think I remember this because it was a clip that was used a lot to promote what we were doing. And someone lets off a massive burp behind him, and you both just crack up laughing. Now,
the hugest burp in the background. That was great.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Now, that shouldn't undermine any of what I said about this guy.
And that is what you remember?
No, not at all. I remember that in relation to us. I couldn't remember much of probably what we were talking about in the interview, but all his achievements, of course, they will never, hard to surpass and hard to forget.
Yeah. No, he's of course one of the dance music heroes. I mean, one of the biggest dance music heroes ever. I just have a lot of memories as well of him playing like MTV Awards after parties and stuff like that. He was usually there. And just such a nice guy. I mean, he's always, throughout his time, has just stayed so down to earth, so approachable. Yeah, just an everyday guy with an incredible ear for music, an incredible talent, and obviously a very clever businessman as well. He must be.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, all round package.
I really look forward to this. And listen, if this one runs long and like hits the limit, go for it. Don't, really, I want to hear infinite anecdotes.
Okay. You will do, James. For sure. It's going to be good.
Can't wait.
We did it.
Paul Oakenfold, oh my goodness, you are such a busy man and you've taken time out to be on the show. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Good to see you again. Long time, huh?
Oh, yes, it's definitely been a very long time. Now, I know that at one point, I know that you've once said that you don't really like looking at the past. You prefer to focus on the present and the future. Is that still the case?
Yep. I think the only way to stay relevant is to do that, actually. It's nice to sometimes sit back and look at your achievements or talk with your kids and family about change. But in music, you should always stay, in my opinion, stay in the moment and look towards the future.
Yeah. Well, be that as it may, we are going to look back.
You're going to take me back. Right? There we go.
We're going to do a little bit of everything. I want to see where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. So just for a little bit of fun, we're going to look at a moment when we met many years ago. So I'm going to do a little screen share. Have a look at this.
Okay, now, you all know this guy, Paul Oakenfold, but did you know that he actually started out working as a chef? He appeared on Blue Peter. He discovered Salt and Pepper, Jesse Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Yeah, signed it.
Signed him and worked for Def Jam. And I mean, there's even more.
So that was in 96. And that just showed that you even entered the whole music scene with a bang. Because right in the beginning already you discovered Salt and Pepper and, Jesse Jav and all this stuff. So how on earth did you manage to do that? How did you enter this whole field? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do, actually. I do very clearly because I was having this conversation. I've been thinking a lot about the past. I've been talking. I have an autobiography coming out very soon, so I've been digging deep into the past for the last few years, just thinking, talking, listening, and how that moment came around was, if I can briefly take a step back, I applied, and this is relevant to the conversation, I applied to every record company in England for a job and got turned down by everyone. So I had a choice to make in life, and that choice was, okay, I tried, it didn't happen, so do I move on? What do I do? Do I move on and go back to being a chef, which I was at the time, or do I try and make something happen? And I had my qualifications as a chef, and I could always go back or fall back on that. But I'm like, you know what? I just got to try once more. So I came up with this idea that if I went to New York, I could become a middleman. And what that means is I could go to all the record companies in New York, get all the promos before they were released, because promos come out 6 weeks before they're released, listen to those promos, find the connections, and then connect it with the UK. So that's primarily what I did. So I found Champion Records, a guy called Mel Medali, and I said, listen, I have all the connections. I have the records before any other DJ or record company gets them because they were sending me the promos. This was a year of doing all this. So now I'm ready to go back home. And I went home. So when Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble came out, I had the connections that could beat everyone to the punch. We know that Fresh Prince went on to beat Will Smith. That record became a top 10 pop hit. And then suddenly the doors were open. I knew Salt and Pepper, I knew Run DMC, I knew Public Enemy, I knew all these bands and record companies. So I created myself a job. And that was the beginning of my path in music.
So it's so amazing. I mean, we'll touch on all the stuff that you've done. I mean, actually, I can't even touch on all the stuff you've done because that's just a Herculean task. I mean, just to mention it is too much. I don't even understand how you did everything you've done. You've done so much. But the whole line throughout your whole career and already in that beginning point is really your work ethic. It's you are so driven and so dedicated. But where does that come from? Is that something that you learned from your parents? Is this something that already formed in your childhood?
It was instilled by my family, by my parents. Hard work, loyalty, dignity, respect, honor. These moments that we should all have were instilled, at a very early age by my mum and dad. So my work ethic is, focus on yourself, become the best you can, and work very hard to achieve it. Anyone who's successful, this, anyone who's successful works extremely hard. Nothing is ever given to you. Very rarely does someone come and say, here you go, right? No. It's so I've worked hard for what I've got, and I believe that as an owner of a record company, I'm in a position to give and teach, and that's come from all the many, many years of hard work into music.
Yeah, you are an incredibly hardworking man. So just a few of the things, right? So you've produced, people like Madonna, Happy Mondays. The remixes are just too many to mention. I mean, again, Madonna, U2, Britney Spears, Michael Jackson, New Order, Rolling Stones, Massive Attack, Duran Duran, Africa Bambaataa, Moby. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on. It's insane. You worked on film scores, right? There was Born Identity, is that right? Shrek 2, Swordfish.
Yeah.
You've toured, of course, with, U2, tour also with Madonna. Right now you're touring with the Pet Shop Boys and New Order.
Yeah.
I mean,
it always seems to be bands. It's really weird because, whether I've toured with a few shows with Chili Peppers, Lenny Kravitz, U2, and they seem to be bands. I don't know why. I mean, I've toured with Chemical Brothers and Prodigy and all that.
Right.
But I do end up in that band world for some reason, apart from Madonna, of course. I mean, she's, but yeah. And now I'm going again with bands. I mean, New Order, is Pet Shop Boys a band? I don't know. But I'm looking forward to it.
They are their own thing, whatever it is. They're just fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to play you another little clip.
Record Mirror, July the 14th, 1990. Wild Nation was formed 2 years ago by Paul and a handful of other musicians, including Suzuki, a Japanese rock guitarist who's a bit of a megastar in his own country, and Boy George. Mixing elements of rock with heavy beats at a time when it was considered sacrilegious to do so, they produced an album of material that they touted around the major record companies, all of whom expressed interest, but none of whom had the courage to take a chance on a new sound that didn't fit neatly into any category. Many A&R scouts must be kicking themselves for the lost opportunity, and so too the producers of the last Bond film, who had chosen a Wild Nation track as the theme to License to Kill, but pulled out after learning that Boy George was involved, no doubt fearing that the Bond image could be tarnished by George's past involvement with drugs. So will the Wild Nation project ever see the light of day?
Isn't that funny? So in that article, they're talking about a project that never saw the light of day. So my question to you is, how many projects like that, or how much music like that is there? Are there like some vaults where there's just a ton of Paul Oakenfold unreleased material?
Yep, absolutely. There's, on my album that's just come out, I 17 tracks. I probably made 50, 60. I've got tons of music that's not come out.
Ooh, so can I have the key to the vault? That would be quite a good one to have. Wow. How funny. And so, and also you were talking about how bands always seem to approach you. You've said about yourself in the past that you're impossible to pigeonhole. And yes, yet these days it seems that you are listed as like a trance DJ. So that's kind of like a pigeonhole, isn't it? So
yeah, that's all right. I mean, you know, people always want to put people in a certain place, and that's okay. I mean, I've just remixed Drake. That's urban. You know, I'm on tour with a band. My album's cinematic. I play melodic music. I mean, that's how I see myself.
Right.
Other people may see me as a trance DJ, or you know, or a remixer or whatever. But that's how the music business works generally.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
You said once in an interview that your eclectic taste is really because you grew up listening to BBC Radio, where there was all kinds of music. You were exposed to everything.
Correct.
So how important do you think BBC still is and BBC Radio still is? Because young people don't really listen to radio so much anymore, right?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I don't know the answer to that because I don't live in England, but I would love to know the answer to that question. How important now is BBC? It was the place where we'd all go for music, because the radio, realistically, was the only place, unless you went to a record store. But you know, listening to Radio 1, I think they shone a light on a lot of people's musical taste, because that was where we'd hear new music. You know, that was where we'd go to hear music, collective sounds. I mean, that was a great thing about Britain. I mean, moving to America, coming on tour in America and going to various festivals, it was one genre. In England, we got all kinds of music. Listening to American radio, it was various genres, rock here, pop there, urban in a different place. So I think Radio 1 was an important part, certainly, of my upbringing, my musical taste. But what it means to people now, I probably think nowhere near as much. I probably think that the generation of today are all about streaming. Shazamming if they're out listening to anything, and just putting their own playlist together. I don't think they are as popular as they used to be.
But isn't that, I mean, don't you think that it's going to negatively impact the music that's going to be made in the future? Because, you know, for instance, I was just talking to the makers of the God Said Give 'Em Drum Machines movie, and they were talking about how Mojo, the DJ Mojo, was so important in the Detroit area because he was playing this whole big variety of music. And so these people grew up having this whole rich tapestry of music. And so in the UK, you get that too, which might be, you know, the explanation of why there's so much great music coming out of the UK, or always has done. And then in the future, if everyone's just following the algorithm and they just get more music of what they already know and already like, I mean, what's that going to be like in the future?
Well, there's two parts to that question. The first part is you can go anywhere to find new music. So it doesn't matter. So it's not really about Radio 1. Music is out there for all of us to find if you want to find it wherever it is. More platforms, you're accessible to more choice.
Right.
Get that. Second part of your question or your answer, I agree, right? That where music, in my opinion, is going wrong is the record companies. The record companies are just about numbers now. The true A&R of finding an artist, wherever you find them, right? Working with their music, developing them, building them, is very rare now because you've got a shorter window to find an artist, and it's all about what's around the artist. How big are your social numbers? How big are your followers? What's your engagement? Is your music being Shazam? Perfect example is Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish had a whole fucking movement going on before a record company signed her. She is the future of how to do it, right? And bear in mind, because of various different platforms and anyone can upload music, it's really hard to break through. And there's no A&R in all this shit. So it's 20,000 dance records a week now. 20,000 dance records a week.
Wow.
No one can stay on top of it.
Yeah.
Everyone's a fucking DJ because technology has made it easy, so there's no art. You could say there's a kind of decline in bands crossing over because you have to pick an instrument up and learn how to fucking play it and play it and play it and play it and play it. And with DJing, you can just press play and do that.
Yeah.
Produce a set on your laptop. But that's the world we live in. So that's where it brings me back to change is upon you every day. You don't have to enjoy change, don't have to like change. But the smart one in the room is the one who understands change. So we're constantly in change, and music is no different. So that's the life, that's the world we live in, and you move with change. You take what works for your business, like we're talking on a phone now. That's change. That would have never happened, right? So here we are. Music is now in a place where you've got to put a big picture around it for it to cross over. And for instance, look at Simon Cowell. Look at his latest band. His new group is 4 girls, 3 guys who he found on TikTok. It's the first TikTok band. So they are there based around their reach, their look, their numbers. Wow. So where does the music? The music comes very far down the line. I presume it's numbers first, your look and what you bring to the table.
Wow.
So he's got dancers, singers, and he's got this 4, 5, 6, 7 piece group. They're TikTok stars, and that's the future. Now, we ain't even talking about the music.
Wow.
We haven't. Who's heard the music? I mean, what is the music? I presume it's cheesy pop.
Wow. We'll find out.
They're already touring America.
God, that's crazy. I've got another clip to show you.
He found them.
What's that?
They're already touring America. They're up and running, and they're popular with the kids. And I don't even know the name of them. Or I did, but I forgot.
Right. Well, there you go. Let me show you another little clip here. This one kind of talks about popularity.
Urban Magazine, December 2000. It seems anyone vaguely connected to the multifarious beast that is the global dance music industry has an opinion on Paul Oakenfold. He is loved as much as he is loathed, and his projects are deified and derided in equal measure. The fact that he is still the ubiquitous public face of dance music over 10 years since Acid House's glorious late 80s inception only begins to explain the phenomenon that is Paul Oakenfold. As Keith Richards memorably put it, when attempting to explain the nature of the Rolling Stones, you're born and the Rolling Stones are there. Ditto Paul Oakenfold. You want to dance? And there's Paul Oakenfold. He knows what the kids want. They want elongated breakdowns, calculated chord changes, and emotive strings, and Oakenfold delivers, and then some. He doesn't care about what he perceives to be the whining of a vocal minority. He's interested in hearing what the kids dancing and losing themselves to the intimacy of the beat, and thus discovering themselves in his flawless mixing have to say. It's quite straightforward, really, he notes, warming to his theme. All I do is go out there and play music to the people. At the end of the day, they judge you, they let you know, because you're directly in contact with that crowd week in, week out. If you ain't rocking that crowd, they're going to let you know because they're paying good money to see you, and that's all they really care about.
So, is that true, by the way? What that article said, that you, at least back then, it said you were loved and loathed in equal measures. Did you ever experience it like that? Because to me, you just loved.
No, I don't know. No, that was news to me. I didn't even know that.
Because I was going to say, how would you have dealt with that? How did you? This is actually a question. How did you, or how do you deal even with the adulation and with the fame? Because you're so grounded. How have you done this?
Well, I don't engage in it. No. I don't read any comments. Look, my attitude is just do the best you can do. Not everyone's going to like the record that I make, that I release next week, but I can put my hand to my heart and say I tried my best. Mm-hmm. And that's all you can do. You're judged. Every show is important. I'm aware that I'm judged on every show. I don't take it for granted. I work extremely hard to stay on top of it. But I've learned as I get older, which is difficult to do, to let go. I'm not the 21-year-old kid who some of my colleagues are, and it's their moment, and I'm all right with it. I wasn't. It was difficult to suddenly realize that you're not the new kid on the block. Look, in society, what do we want? We want new clothes, a new house, a new car, a new movie, a new record. We want new. And it's the same in music. There's new young DJs who come up, and it's their time and it's their moment. We're still here. There's still room for us, but you've got to learn at some point in a long career to be able to let go and go, all right, I'm still here. I'm more maybe an older, wiser person. I still do it. I still love it. And I'm still lucky after 30 years that people still come to my shows. I mean, yeah, that's another thing. I'm like, hang on, you better think that.
I have the best clip. Hold on, I've got the best clip ever for you. Wait, this one is just perfect right now. Wait until you see this one. Oh my goodness.
Do you think you're ever going to pack it all in? Because you once said to me that one day you're going to pack it all in and you're going to go back to being a chef.
Yeah,
right?
I will.
You think that will ever happen?
Yeah. No, I will. Yeah, I'm fully qualified chef.
So, would you?
I will pack it all in. Yeah,
I don't think you will.
I mean, I don't want to be 45, 50 DJing, to be honest, man.
I bet you're going to be doing that. I bet it's going to be, like, maybe bad example, but how Tina Turner, has done, the last tour, of her career about
Rolling
10
Stones.
times. And she keeps coming back. That's what you're going to be doing.
Closing down.
So what changed? Love changed. I grew into, look, I'm a single man, right? I have 2 wonderful kids and a great mother of those kids. But I'm in love. I'm my first love. And I realized this many years ago. I've committed and given up a lot for music. It's just that way. I am a fully qualified chef. I cook at home. I cook for friends. I enjoy that moment of cooking. But music it just drives me. I'm now comfortable and have been for a while that I'm all right if I'm going to be on my own. And I've got friends, great friends, family, and music. And I'm in a nice place. I'm in a settled place as I grow older as a man with myself. So, will I give it up? No, I don't think I will. I think you're going to be.
I wanted.
You're going to be like someone will be rolling me in in a wheelchair. I'll be like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think, I just so enjoy playing and making music. It puts a smile on my face. So, do I enjoy the travel? No. Travel's got harder. Am I trying to find a better balance? I think I found it coming out of COVID. I turn a lot down, so I choose wisely. But I enjoy seeing the world. Music's been so good to me. I've seen the world I've been around the world many times with boxes of records. So I'm not ready to hang up yet.
And you always seem to do very interesting things. I mean, so this is the other stuff that you did. So you were the first DJ to headline Glastonbury, the main stage. You played Wembley, you played the Hollywood Bowl, you played on the Great Wall of China, Mount Everest. That was last year, right?
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Three, because of COVID. 3.
Oh, okay. Now you're going to be an avatar. You're going to be in the metaverse.
I am. I just signed a deal to be a resident DJ in the metaverse, which leaves, as they said to me, and it really, when they asked me, I was like, okay, tell me more. So I leave a legacy that exists for as long as I want it to exist. So when I'm dead, I will still be DJing if I want to. I don't know if people are going to want to see me like that, but you can do that.
That's amazing. You literally are never going to retire. Brilliant. When you're dead.
Yeah, you can. I don't know if I'd go that far, but, the avatar this is the part of what I was saying with change. Embrace the change that you like. And the change has come where there is a metaverse, there is an alternative world. The children, the kids, my kids, they live in the metaverse. They're always gaming and they're in that world, right? So for them, it's nothing new. For me, it is.
So your avatar will be possibly forever. What about space? What about space or like the bottom of the ocean, like those kind of things? I'm just wondering where else you can go.
I'd certainly DJ in space. If someone asked me, I'd go for sure. I'd go up there and DJ. I wouldn't go to the bottom of the ocean. No way. I had no desire to do that. But
we won't do that. So talking about Mount Everest, there's a really interesting book. It's called The Second Mountain, The Quest for a Moral Life by David Brooks. And he talks about our lives in like mountains. So, my past is like a little hill. Yours is literally Mount Everest, but also your career is like Mount Everest. So that's the first mountain. And then he says the second mountain that we climb in life is often the one where it becomes about giving back. Is that really important to you these days?
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, I've been on that mountain for many years. I mean, my record company will be 30 years this year. Mm-hmm. And we have signed some of the biggest artists, biggest DJs that everyone knows, from David Guetta to Cole Cox to Mark Ronson, and so on. And now it's the next generation. And so we are signing tomorrow's stars today. It's a lot tougher. It's a lot more difficult because of what I mentioned earlier on with 20,000 dance records and everyone's a DJ producer. So the lane is extremely busy, but we focus on talent. We find the artists that we want to work with, and I A&R them. I help them, support them, talk to them, and tell them and show them the path that I took.
Yeah. And it seems to be, I mean, like you've also, isn't there also another charity that you run as well, which was focused on also finding worldwide talent search and development mentorship program? Is that
right? I do a lot in that space. When I, for instance, Mount Everest, I raised nearly £100,000 for two music charities and one local charity in Nepal for kids who live on the mountain. But my biggest one is for the last 5 years, I do the biggest charity event in the UK. It's called Soccer Aid,
right?
The UNICEF. So I'm the musical, I don't know what you want to call it, director, producer, whatever it is, but I sort all the music out for UNICEF and Soccer Aid on that day. I DJ in the stadium, outside the stadium. If they need music for the show, I do that. And then at the end, I do the party. And we raise a lot of money. So that's the biggest. I think we raised over £15 million this time around.
Wow. And it's mixing your two loves, right? Football and music.
Football and music, yeah, exactly.
Right. But even the Perfecto logo kind of was, kind of had that football look about it.
Yeah, it sure does.
Let me share another clip of when we met before, when we were actually talking about this.
What about the whole policy behind label, the whole philosophy behind? Is there such thing?
Yeah, totally. And we're really focused on our overall direction and what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to develop artists and sell albums on a worldwide basis. We're not into we're not a singles orientated label.
Yeah. So what about, is there ever going to be like a Perfecto US?
Yeah, we launched Perfecto in September. Me, BT and John Pleased went and did a party, which is just good fun.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, well, it takes a lot longer when you're trying to do it the way we're doing it, you know.
But eventually it'll pay off.
But eventually, hopefully,
and
it will
someone's
pay
got to do that, otherwise everything gets too shallow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't really want to do that. You know, I mean, with everything I do, even down to DJing, I try and do less rather than more and quality.
Yeah.
You know, so if I'm playing a night, I'll hang out in that club all night and talk to the people and hang out with the promoter rather than in and out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that kind of explains to me as well why Perfecto got the award for Best Label at the 1996 Music Magazine Awards, right?
Yeah.
Quality.
Yeah, I still do that.
So basically, your whole focus was all about developing artists. You're still doing that. You've got like a whole bunch of perfectors now. You've got house, you've got black, you've got fluoro. Okay, I'm saying it wrong. But your whole policy, so your whole idea back then, you said, I'd rather do less and provide quality than just do it. And look how much you've ended up doing.
I know. Don't listen to a word I say. So, with numbers and the expansion of our industry, dance music, comes more. And I still believe we focus on quality. If I tell you let's reverse the question and how much don't I do to how much I do, right? So, as I said, I love what I do and I don't see it as work. The amount of stuff I turn down, which people ask me to DJ at, or they ask me to produce or do new ventures, the label, there's a lot. I still believe in less is more on quality. It's just as the label grows, there are other people who work on the label, which are the team. So we may put out more music, but it's not directly down to me. It's me trusting the next generation of, I'm looking for the young needs, right? So I find someone who's enthusiastic, the great work ethic, wants to learn, listen, and get on in life, well, then I'll give you that opportunity. here you go, you know, and that's my role now. So they go out and sign all the music and do all that. It's there. And when it does well, they reap the rewards. If it doesn't do well, we brush ourselves down and we go again, you know, and that's part of growing up and, you know, growing as a person and in life.
Yeah. And so that's how you stay future oriented.
Yes.
The next generation. Paul, thank you so much. I know it was a bit of a squeeze trying to get you today, so I really appreciate your time.
We did it.
I wish we had a lot more time, but I know you got to go, so thank you so much.
You're welcome, and take care and you know, enjoy Belize.
And I will see you somewhere, somehow, even if it's in the metaverse. Our paths will cross again, for sure.
See you in the metaverse.
But I'm really buzzing recently. You know, all the stuff, the Detroit shirt was absolutely fantastic. I really say I use the word cuddles for those two. They were really beautiful people. And it was amazing to see some of those old clips from 97, 25 years ago. So anyone watching this who hasn't watched that, you must. Yeah, just beautiful to see. Really amazing to see our stuff from all those years ago. Absolutely loved it. So, as well, how was it with the most successful DJ in the world ever, according to Guinness Book of Records from 1999? A record that no one will probably ever beat. He'll keep that record forever. How was he?
It was wonderful to catch up with Paul Oakenfold. We had a little bit of an issue in the beginning. It's a bit like saying to someone, I'll meet you by the clock at Central Station, and it turns out there's two clocks and you're both waiting by the wrong clock, right? So that was me and Paul. So we were online waiting for each other, but in different places. And so the man who's so incredibly busy was waiting for me and I was waiting for him, and like 20 minutes passed and we couldn't find each other. And for someone who's that busy, that is a real big deal. So that kind of cut into my interview time, which was such a shame. There was so much more I would have wanted to ask him. I didn't get to play the oldest bit of press that we found on him, the one where we talked about, you know, Acid House having to go underground.
NME, 22nd of October, 1988, Paul Oakenfold speaking. Acid is going underground. It's got to go that way because of all the fuss. The media are out to kill it. I DJ in Brighton every Thursday night at the Zap Club, and there have been big things in the local paper. One article said, if your kid is wearing a t-shirt with a smiley face on it, take him straight to the doctors. He's probably on drugs. I mean, Jesus. He raises his hands in despair. Obviously drugs are involved, but I don't know to what extent. It's impossible to say.
And the other bit as well, there was another bit of press that I didn't get to share, which actually was my favorite quote, where he was talking about how important good karma is. So,
Music magazine, October 1999. All that money, all that time away from home, all those mini bars, all those air hostesses. How does Oakenfold exercise restraint when most British DJs would rush in and sate all and every desire? What stops him doing a Nicky Holloway? We all love to party, confines Oakenfold, but the important thing is a question of balance. I work long hours, so I have to take my health very seriously. I drink loads of water. I have a personal nutritionist, an acupuncturist, and a reflexologist. I get Ayurvedic massages for purification and rejuvenation. I enjoy flotation tanks. I do yoga. I'm interested in health, and I'm also a spiritual, if not strictly religious person. I enjoy going to countries where the happiness of being alive is more important than a new BMW. In essence, I make sure everything I do is from the heart, even if it involves risks. All my decisions are from the heart, even when they turn out to be mistakes.
we didn't get to discuss those, but we did get to discuss a lot of good stuff. I mean, the thing that I really loved was the idea of his avatar, which can potentially now play indefinitely, like forever.
It does, yeah, but
which is such a strange thought that
it is. Does the avatar get paid for DJing?
Oh my God, I didn't ask him that.
Fascinating era we are with the whole metaverse, and deep fakes. Listen, we're going through an interesting, intellectual property phase now, aren't we? The deep fakes. Have you seen these deep fakes of Tom Cruise and people and avatars? Yeah, and dead people's rights. And could Paul Oakenfold technically DJ ABBA with the avatars? Them, I guess they're getting paid. You go to watch ABBA. You're not seeing them in the flesh. You're actually seeing avatars.
Yeah.
All about the contract.
Yeah. But as Paul Oakenfold said, you cannot stop change. You have to go with it. And that is why he's still so successful. He is not scared of change. He embraces it and he just goes with it. So yeah, it was a wonderful discussion, and yeah, fascinating.
Can't wait to hear it. Big up.